Howdy everybody, Keith Warren here, and this week Deer and Wildlife Stories comes to you from Texarkana, Texas. And we're at a deer farm. Well, it's the biggest deer farm I've never heard of. And we're gonna show you some fantastic deer, and we're gonna tell you how the folks at CC Bar Whitetails are years ahead of the competition. The whitetail deer is America's favorite big game animal, and whitetail deer farming is the fastest growing segment in the American agriculture industry. Our program's mission is to dive into the world of deer farming and discover why tens of thousands of Americans compete to create the biggest bucks in the world. And by the biggest bucks, we don't just mean the size of the antlers. The financial investment opportunities produced even on small parcels of rural land will blow you away. Join me as we discover how whitetail genetics, deer auctions, animal husbandry, and so much more drive the deer farming industry. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories.
Hello, this is Hank Corbell and my wife Shauna Corbell, and we are with CC Bar Whitetails, and we're glad to have you here with us. We've been breeding about 18 years. Me and my dad got in it together, and we bought this place, and then it was a tax break to put it in agriculture, and I only had about 40 acres, and I couldn't have enough cows on it, so we got in the deer business. And I love whitetails. I grew up hunting whitetails. It's a big part of my family heritage, and
it's a big part of your family now, isn't it?
It is definitely a big part of my family.
And the family makes a living right here on this piece of dirt, raising deer. I watch them out there working with these deer, and it's like they never get tired of it. They love it.
It's in our blood, Keith.
Oh, yeah.
We love this. That's why we got into business.
So how many deer do you have total on how much land?
We've got 82 acres total up here, 56 acres of deer pens. I know we got 265 does and 218 bucks, adults.
Plus you got a bunch of fawns and all.
Oh yeah.
I'm amazed. I tell people, I said, this is like the biggest deer farm I never came to. I mean, you're located out of Texarkana, about 10, 12 miles, and which is up in the northeastern part of the state of Texas. But you got customers and you sell deer all over the state of Texas.
Yep.
The thing is, deer business, just like any business, I guess, today is very competitive, okay? And one thing that I'm amazed by what you've done, you started breeding for genetic markers before basically anybody else did. And you are so far ahead. You've got hundreds of animals now that have got this marker, this SS marker, that literally the whole industry is talking about. And so how do you feel about getting a jump on everybody?
I got some good advice. I got some good advice from some very wise men. And
you did.
And I'm glad that I took the advice.
Yeah. For those of you that are regular viewers of the show, of course, we've had Dennis on before, and Dennis is from Michigan, and then Gary. And Gary is known also as the Airwolf. And we've done some stuff with Gary shooting hogs from the air. Those guys helped Hank, and it kind of steered him towards the right business model. And it sure has paid off, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
I'll tell you this, if you're not familiar with GEBVs, you can go to the Deer Farming Channel. We've got a video from Chris Seabury. Dr. Chris Seabury talks about it, okay, and how GEBVs, the genetic breeding value, estimated breeding value on whitetail deer, and these genetic markers can help us breed less susceptible deer to CWD. And that's the whole name of the game. I mean, as deer farmers, we want to have the most healthy deer we can. And so as we breed with these GEBVs and these SS markers, we're able to create a more resistant deer, if you will, to CWD. And that's the reason why everybody's wanting to deal with CC Bar Whitetails. So I know you don't want to brag on yourself, but tell them how business is.
It's pretty good.
It's real good. Okay.
Never been better.
Yeah, it really hadn't been better. I mean, your deer are big and beautiful. We're going to show you tons of those big deer. We're going to tell you how come business is so good with CC Bar Whitetails.
How many 2-year-olds do you have?
I think I've got around 96 2-year-olds.
Okay, as we show you these 2-year-olds, you're going to be amazed at not just what they look like, but the people in the know are amazed about the breeding values. By and large, most of these bucks are SS markered bucks, okay? And so what's happening, the customer winds up coming out here, and I know they have been because I've been talking to some of the biggest guys in business that have been right here. And they've been looking at Hank's bucks because Hank's bucks have got the SS marker, and his does have the SS markers. Everybody's got big deer, it seems like, but people don't have big SS marker deer.
Right.
But Hank Corbell does. And so as they come out here and they take a look at these deer, they're making decisions, breeding decisions that are going to impact their herds for years and years. You've been at this now breeding with SS marker for how many years?
This is the 4th year.
And so as you're looking at these deer, you think the reason why he's got all these SS is because he focused on that.
Well, they were very important. Now, I got some SSs that have very good GEBVs, but personally I won't use them because they still need to be breeder buck quality.
They need to be big.
Yes, sir.
Just because they're SSs doesn't mean that they're breeders.
That's right.
Okay, they got to be SSs and have that breeder look and pedigree in order to go with
That's
it.
right. Out of 100 SSs out here, I'll probably breed with 6 of them.
When we show you the 2-year-olds, I mean, it's mind-boggling how many of them you have, but you've got an unbelievable amount of does. You know, we wind up looking at the bucks, and everybody on the show wants to look at the bucks. But I'm telling you, those bucks are created from mamas.
That's exactly right.
And you've got a bunch of those does in these pens now, don't you?
I do.
You know, a lot of these deer are really gentle. They're gentle because you're bottle feeding, but you're not doing the bottle feeding. Talk about it, who does bottle feeding and kind of just a family-run operation.
Oh, my girls, yes. Andrea has been doing the bottle feeding since she was 8 years old. She's 26 now.
Okay.
She is the best. She's good with the baby deer. She's good with any deer, but she's really good with the baby deers. And that is, she takes care of all my deer.
And so, I mean, compare what business is like today compared to what it was like, say, 5 years ago.
Well, I think we're making more money. Rules and the regulations and everything it is what it is, and there's nothing I don't guess I can do to change that.
Every industry is regulated, whether you're in the restaurant industry or deer breeding industry, they're all regulated. The Texas Deer Association helps represent deer breeders and with the regulatory authorities, and so we want reasonable regulations, okay? And we believe there should be. But there's a lot of regulations that now are, I mean, they're pretty strong. And it's for that reason there are people that have gotten out of the business. Yep. But the people that can comply with the regulations, like us and all the other people you see on the show, business has never been better.
Never been better. I agree with that.
I mean, it's never been better. And the reason why is because of supply and demand. And so let's talk to people about how do you go about making your money? When is payday, basically, for a deer farmer?
I'm raising my bucks, or my deer, genetically to be ready for pasture at 2 years old. They're big. They're bigger than a lot of 3-year-olds in this industry.
And they're pretty.
Well, thank you. And we try to keep them pretty. 2015, I got to breeding really big. I raised my first 500-inch 3-year-old, and I didn't like it. We've been breeding a lot of pure South Texas with some help of some of my real good friends. The purpose of that was to try to bring them down, and then I raised some 380-inch 2-year-olds. So it's harder to bring them back down than it is to get them big.
Isn't it amazing when we look at the deer and go, we've actually maybe done too good a job and got them too big?
Yeah. The last 5 years, Keith, I have been trying to breed my deer back because I don't like a great, big, ugly deer.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Not many people do.
Yeah.
These deer go to the pasture. And maybe 1 in 50 is going to be used as a breeder.
Yep.
Okay, but the other ones are going to go to pasture. And why? Because these people want to repeat the genetics that they have here, and not just the look. They want to repeat the SS markers. Okay, and there are people, there are landowners that are concerned that, you know, with the chronic wasting disease issue out there, that they're now looking at these genetic markers, SS. And so what Hank does, Hank winds up selling bucks and does and bred does to people that have a piece of property that want to introduce these new genetics with the SS marker deer. So as far as bucks go, people come out in the summer, pick what they want. And as far as does go, they tell you what they want, and then you wind up breeding those does and you deliver them when?
Most of ours will normally sell 100 to 150 stocker does bred, delivered in February and March in there.
And so when would those people need to contact you to start making arrangements to purchase them?
I usually have most of them sold by December 31st, about the first of the year. The sooner the better.
Yeah, I mean, because it is supply and demand, and with the SS markers being in demand like they are, and all, there's a shortage of them everywhere except here. Okay, give them a number that they can contact you if they want to come out and take a look.
My cell number is 903-277-0591. Email is handscorbel@windstream.net.
So with this being a family-run operation, I mean, it's like there's always something to do, isn't there?
Oh, always something to do, yes, sir.
It's like people say, do
Never
you get a
catch
day off? It's like those deer don't know it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or your anniversary, your birthday. They don't know you're sick.
That's
they
right.
still got to be fed and watered and taken care of.
Yeah.
And for example, today you had an issue with a buck. So tell me what happened there.
Well, he was a good yearling buck, real wide, and I actually have those deer in a pen. It's got a lot of trees, real dense in there, and he had probably gotten spooked or just running through or whatever, and he had a couple of damaged tines on his right antler. So instead of risking, just dart him, put him down, saw him off, and make him ride.
Well, I understand that you didn't do it yourself. You had some
Well, you're
help,
right.
didn't you?
Yes, sir. My daughter, she makes me proud. The real wide one is the one I'm just picked through him. He is, he's 29 yards. He's 29 yards when you're ready. Put it right in that hip. Got him. Yep, my daughter made a fine shot on him. My wife banded him. She's 22 years RN, so she's pretty good when it comes to doctoring the deer, yeah.
Once we banded him, now we'll wait about 15 minutes, let the blood flow decrease a little bit, and then we'll saw him off. There we go.
You was lifting it up, it was punching.
Now I'm just trying to get this one little bleeder to stop. And here we go. Now I'm going to give him an antibiotic to help prevent infection. Okay, and then I'll give him, every time we put a deer down and work him, we take that opportunity to give him some wormer. Now we're going to spray a little blue coat on the end tips of his antlers just to kind of help keep them from getting infected. All right, now we'll take him to the pasture, reverse him, and he'll be good to go.
He's up and better now.
He's
for
up
it.
and better. Yeah, no more headaches or anything for him, whatever. Yeah.
That's good.
All he knows, he woke up and now you don't have to worry about.
He doesn't have to carry that stuff around anymore.
That's
Good
right.
for him and good for y'all.
Oh, that's right. Yes, sir.
When it comes to doctoring deer, we all learn to be a shade tree vet, I say.
Oh, yeah.
You know, think about it, we have to.
That's
because
right.
there are issues that come up all the time. Okay, we've shown a bunch of 2-year-olds so far on this video, but let's take a look at some of your 1-year-olds, because that 1-year-old that you knocked down, he was pretty good, but you got some other good 1-year-olds too. Tell me how many you got.
We've got 121 of them out there.
Bucks.
Yearling bucks.
So as you take a look at these yearlings, just realize that this farm, okay, is big enough to be able to produce 121 yearling bucks. And that means he's got that many yearling does too. So they grow deer, but they sell a lot of deer too. And these yearlings look really good.
Thank you.
One thing I want to bring up is that in the deer business, we have what they call the North American Deer Registry, and you've seen us promote them for years and years. You're, I think, the only one that I've seen on the registry when you go on there that actually puts the markers of the deer, the genetic markers of the deer.
If you go on CC Bar, you know, and go through there looking at what we got and what we're doing, I do that with a lot of the breeders.
Yep.
A lot of people I'm sure do. I put, if they're an SS, on their name, they'll have, you know, 197 SS, KS, or whatever they got. And then in their ear tag slot, I actually will put their GEBV score down there too. The ones that I have
phenomenal.
tested.
That is absolutely phenomenal, because what that does, it allows anybody that's currently in the deer breeding business that is a member of NADAR to be able to get on and check out what he's got. And I promise you, you're going to be blown away, because this guy right here is a whole lot smarter than he looks. I mean, or lucky.
Might be lucky.
I'm telling
Mama
you.
says blessed, but you know.
You are out in front of the pack right now. I'm telling you, he's so far in front of so many guys that are big name guys. You really are. Okay, you really are. So there's one particular breeder I want you to talk about, it's Silver Star. So tell everybody about him.
He was my prettiest yearling. Big 29-inch spread, perfect 5x5 with the drop time. I love him. And anyway, I bred with him. He's an SS marker. And when we got our GEBVs back on him, he's a negative 2.160. And I collected him when he was a yearling. We had 72 deer. I've got 72 deer now in the registry out of him. You know, I got some yearlings to look at. This last year, every single fawn that was born in the first 2 months is all out of Silver Star.
And that right there is huge, because he wound up putting Silver Star, an SS marker, on SS does. So what are you going to get out of it? SS
We're going to get SSs. And Silver Star throws some good GEBV values.
And so when you start looking at these yearlings that are on the ground, and you think, yeah, they're great, and the 2-year-olds are great, but you know what? The fawns are actually better than the yearlings and 2-year-olds. That's the cool thing about deer farming. Your younger genetics, as long as you're breeding right, are your best deer.
Yep. Keith, I breed a lot of yearlings. Normally those yearlings that I pick out wind up being tremendous 2s and 3s.
Well, and that's something that most deer breeders don't do. They don't breed yearlings. They may put 4 or 5 fawns in with a nice yearling buck just to get something out of it. Yep. But you roll the dice, and you have been very successful in getting some really great offspring out of them.
I appreciate that.
This is a family-run operation, obviously. Could you imagine doing this alone without your family?
There's no way. No way. I would want to, but it wouldn't be the way it is without my wife and my girls. The one thing that sometimes chokes me up a little is my dad loved this as much as me. And me and Dad talked every day. He had deer in Jacksonville, CC Bar Jacksonville, CC Bar Redwater. This was something that my dad loved just as much as I do. And unfortunately, I lost my dad 12 years ago to that old mean cancer.
But you're passing this down to your kids.
Absolutely. And I know my dad'd be proud of me for that.
You doggone right. I'm proud of you for that. And I want to tell y'all something. I believe the white-tailed deer is a magical animal. I really believe that. I think that we are so blessed to be able to have the white-tailed deer and be able to live with them and be with them every single day of our lives. We're hunters. We grew up hunting, you know, but we couldn't get enough of white-tailed deer by just being a hunter. Okay, so we became deer farmers. And the white-tailed deer is magical because of the joy that it brings, but also the people that it brings together. We wouldn't know each other without the common thread of the white-tailed deer.
That's exactly
and think all the people that in our industry wouldn't know each other unless they love white-tailed deer. And so the white-tailed deer is a magical animal, and I appreciate you. Thank you, and your family.
You
and the deer industry, yeah, you can make money at it, you're doggone right, and I think that's fantastic. But the best thing is you're gonna make fantastic relationships, and it is a wonderful way of life, wouldn't you say?
I would say it's the best.
Yep. If you want to come up here and check out the deer, whether you're an existing deer breeder or interested in getting the deer breeding business, Hank and his family can help you get in the deer breeding business. They got a ton of deer, and they'd love to show them off. Give them a phone number.
903-277-0591.
Give them a call, and I promise you, you'll be happy you did.
Hey there. Make sure and subscribe to the Deer Farming channel by hitting the subscribe button right now. Brought to you by Rafter P Construction, the leading design build contractor in North Texas for farms and ranches. Go to rafterpconstruction.com for your dream build.